Hi, my name is Elliott Masie. It's November 17th, 2010. We're going to talk about gestures and learning. Here at the Masie Center Learning Lab in Saratoga Springs, we've been conducting the beginning of a series of experiments and discoveries about the use of a gaming system that also has gesture-based interactions, triggered by the recent release by Microsoft of their Kinect component for their Xbox gaming console. We wanted to take a look at how can programs, games, eventually educational programs, leverage the ability to recognize body movements, to utilize very specific gestures, or even to allow the user to interact with the screen via a direct set of motions of their hands, feet, or other parts of their bodies. Now, what's intriguing about this to us, as all of our experiments here are at the Masie Center, is the word affordances. We're not just interested in things that might be cool or different. We want to take a look at what are the affordances that gesture-based interactions might provide for a learning designer or provide for somebody who is wanting to increase their ability to do knowledge gathering or even collaboration or feedback in a workplace setting. Gestures seem to be one of the next of a series of fairly rapidly being released enhancements to the user experience. We certainly have had many years of using the mouse, although I do remember when the mouse was considered a revolutionary addition to a PC or mainframe terminal. And in the last couple of years, we've been able to experiment with what happens as we use touch, whether it's on our smartphone or on a tablet computer. But what gesture-based does is provide yet another way in which we can, as designers and as learners, alter the dynamics of how we interact with a screen, with content, with programs, or even with other individuals who are remote from us. At the heart of the Kinect system is a sensing device which has microphones, a regular video webcam, as well as a number of infrared sensors that allow the system to both recognize who I am, to do some measurements, to do some relative motions, to capture or utilize audio, and even to leverage it for a telepresence capacity. And what we've done over the course of the last couple days as part of our experiment is to use a specific educationally focused fitness game called Your Shape. Now, what Your Shape does is it has an ability for an individual to do a variety of workouts and of a variety of exercise-based activities that the system will sense what you're doing, give you some challenges, and some appropriate feedback along the way. Embedded into that was one program that's been at the heart of our first level investigations. And it is a program that teaches you and then guides you through the use of a series of Zen-like yoga stretches and activities. In the system is the ability, when I first start, for the system to scan me. And I got to tell you, it felt very Star Trek-like when I was standing in the appropriate box area on my rug in the lab, and it sensed who I was, and it scanned up and down. And as I was doing that, took measurements of my body length. It actually located where joints moved on my arms or legs. And later on, utilized that as it was teaching me a specific set of yoga movements. When I got them right, it showed the alignment and gave me an immediate score. When they were off alignment, I saw, and even saw a infrared infrared representation of myself and then highlighting where the limb placements were either directly in compliance or were way off from what was being taught. I found this experience to be an early indicator and perhaps view into the future of what we could do as learning designers, as experience designers, that would leverage gesture-based interactions. Now, there are a number of comments that we've immediately got from both the students that we use this with and with our own staff, that they found it to require an initial adjustment and to figure out that I'm actually going to select that by moving my hands. Some people found it a little bit too intrusive, but most were enormously intrigued and motivated by the ability of this system to allow them to interact in a more natural environment. If we fast forward a bit, we can imagine that gestures and learning have all sorts of implications for at-work performance support, collaboration, or enhancement. One of the immediate ones I begin to think about is, imagine that we were in an operating room in a hospital and a nurse or a surgeon wanted to get a view of either the x-rays or even to look up what are some pictures from some similar operations that were done. Imagine the ability to use their hand and to then control a screen purely through gestures. It requires an intriguing shift in thinking that we're not going to have the learner move straight up and touch the device that they're on, but rather work at it from a distance. And in fact, imagine using a series of cameras that may already be in the environment. In fact, one of the predictions that we make is that we'll start to see the cameras that are in our laptops and in our smartphones and other devices begin to also take on some gesture-based recognition. It also is an enormously intriguing area to think about the feedback mechanism. And remember, gestures can be intentional gestures where the system can say, you know, put your thumb up if you agree or disagree. So imagine doing sort of a performance review opportunity there. But they also can be gathering not intentional gestures, but either the way that our exercise program did in looking at our movements, or they could in fact look at expression gestures. So I certainly know as I'm reading something or listening to something, my gestures change. And what if the system recognized that I look confused? Or even what if the system recognized that I had lost interest and did some adaptation? We are clearly at the beginning. One of the nice things about affordances is it shifts the conversation from talking about what's cool to talking about what does it afford us the ability to do. And I believe that as learner designers and learning leaders, that we're going to have an opportunity to dream, to play, to experiment, to fail forward, and to look at how gesture-based and gesture-enhanced learning and performance support might become part of our future. We encourage and want to urge you to participate in this global open source experiment that we're doing. We've set up a blog site, and I've put the address right up on the screen. And we'd like you to go to share some of your own experiments and experiences. Clearly, the early arriver here is the Kinect box from Microsoft. I will predict that you'll see many additional resources coming to the market like this, and we are already in dialogue with both folks at Microsoft and other technology companies about looking at how do we rapidly move this from the gaming platform into the business environment. So stay tuned, look at some gestures, think about what are some of the future points, what might in fact in the future become some universal gestures for more, enough, talk to me, how do we add gestures into our video chat and telepresence environment? There are many wonderful questions for us to collectively explore, and we're looking forward to doing that with you. This is Elliott Masie from the Masie Center Learning Lab, yours in learning with the gesture, whether it's goodbye, hello, or tell me more. See you soon.